vlog for August 1st, first of the month, 2018. And after doing that little move last night in the video, I thought, why didn't I use that for my thumbnail? So I did that for my thumbnail tonight. And it's in reference to Chasm. So I picked up the game, installed it last night, and I started playing it, and it is just so good. In no small part due to the fact that it is a love letter to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Much like Bloodstained is taking a lot of little details, a lot of the ways characters move, your character moves, the general speed at which things happen, the arrangement of enemies, all these little elements. Chasm is doing the same thing. One thing that all three, Symphony of the Night, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and Chasm all do is I think it's called jump canceling. If you jump and you attack right at the end of your jump, your character doesn't use frames of animation to recover from that attack, and they can immediately attack again, which leads to a sort of double strike, where you jump, and as you're landing, you attack and then attack again. So you basically double your damage in a short period of time. It's good for killing a lot of sort of medium health or weaker enemies very quickly, especially if they take 2 strikes to hit normal, or 2 strikes to kill normally. But Chasm is even more clever than I would have given it credit for. You start the game in a watchtower, right? Okay? You start the game in a watchtower, and the very first thing you do when you descend into the tower to go to a new area is you fall. You actually fall down a full screen of height, and you take no fall damage. That's intentional. That's to let you know this is a game where not everything's going to behave super realistically, and that's not the point. And you should, feel okay about jumping down into an area that, without fear of dying as soon as you hit the ground, which is something that has happened to me more than once in Terraria, which does have fall damage until you get certain items. But the game is full of little clever, after it teaches you this, you then go into an area, and there is a chasm in the ground, filled with green gas, which, as you can imagine, causes you damage if you come into contact with it. But you are, introduced to this effect by walking sideways into the room and seeing it. But sure enough, within a few screens, you are put into a situation where you can either jump into a pit or descend on a ladder. And taking the ladder down is the smart thing to do, because if you just jump into the pit, you fall into one of the holes full of green gas, which causes you damage. So, you don't take fall damage, but there are things below you that can damage you, and thus you want to proceed carefully. There are a lot of situations where you're introduced to an enemy for the first time in a way that it probably can't actually hurt you, and you're introduced to sort of the way enemies behave before it really starts to come up. So the very first enemy you are likely to run into is a troll that doesn't even have an attack animation. It just walks back and forth, and when you hit it, it pauses for a second and goes, ow, sort of, which is something that happens to you as well if you get hit. So you're intended to just sort of hit it twice, I think, which causes it to die, but the first hit causes that sort of hit stun state, and then the second hit does enough damage to kill it, which is good, because eventually you will run into a more dangerous drill troll that's holding a little hand drill that can hurt you a lot more and takes more damage to defeat. And its range, its ability to hit you from farther away, is also increased. So you're getting a weaker version of an enemy, and then you're getting an upgrade, and eventually you run into trolls that have ranged attacks. But you also, gosh, there's so much. You'll walk into a room, and you'll see that the roof is too low to move through. You'd have to be able to crawl on your hands and legs, or have some other means of traversing under something to proceed. You'll also walk into a room and see that the ledge that you need to jump up to, keep my hand in the camera, is just a little bit too high. So you're going to need an item that lets you jump higher or get higher some other way in order to get past that obstacle. These are all classic things that you find in the Metroidvania genre. And the very first item, like special movement item that you get, allows you to cling to ledges, which gives you some better vertical mobility, assuming you have ledges that you can cling onto. And that is an ability from Metroid Zero Mission. So you have all these little Castlevania callbacks, and then the very first relic or special ability that you get lets you do a move from a recent, but very good, I say recent, it's over 10 years old, Metroid game. So, it's so much fun. I had so much fun. The production value, the music is amazing. It's a lot of it is guitar that just fits the mood and the style so well. And it's so good that I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. I want to go and play it. That's the sign of a good game. When you think about it during the day and you can't wait to play it when you get home from work, that's good. So I'm giving it my thumbs up. Highly recommend it to anybody that likes exploration or platforming games or any combination of the two. So I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.